Hello, my name is Dylan Hughes, and the company I selected to talk about is Delta Airlines. I selected Delta because I've had a few problems when flying for vacations or other things such as this. 2 years ago, when I went on vacation, on the flight down to Florida, it was completely fine. But during the height of the pandemic on the way back, we were delayed twice, and this led to us having to stay an extra night in Florida, which costed a good amount of money. Delta Airlines was created on March 2nd of 1925 in Macon, Georgia. Currently, they are based in Atlanta, Georgia, and are an American-owned company. As you most likely know already, the coronavirus impacted everything heavily. Every business that many people had was impacted besides online companies. Airliners were also a very large portion of this impact. Airliners lost several things to the pandemic. They lost customers, revenue, jobs, and overall just their confidence that they were going to be able to run the company successfully and make money rather than go bankrupt. Overall, the pandemic put all airliners, including Delta, in a terrible situation. And to return to the state that they were in before, Delta must utilize several strategies. First, Delta must utilize some strategies for recovery. Some of these are adjusting capacities, which would allow Delta to change the capacities on their flights and fly fewer people, but let them better prepare for this to ensure that they're going to make profits off of the flight. For example, if Delta's going to have a flight of 5 to 6 people, it may have been like that during the pandemic, it would be better to adjust the capacity and have more people in there and ensure that they're going to make a profit from the flight rather than having this flight and losing profits. Another strategy Delta should use is a flexible booking strategy. In a flexible booking strategy, Delta will be able to ensure that customers are happy because they will be able to change their flight plans without having to pay a fine, and they can do it all online rather than having to talk to somebody. This will make customers happy, but it will also make it easier for Delta because they won't have to worry about charging people to change their plans or talking to people to change their plans because they can do it all by the click of a finger. Next, building stronger partnerships is another strategy Delta should utilize. By building partnerships with other airliners, Delta will be able to share their resources. They can share their aircrafts, they can share employees, they can share basically anything. And a big part of this partnership could mean that if one company has a flight booked to Florida and it's only got 6 or 7 people, and Delta has the same flight booked to Florida and it's got 8 or 9 people, they can combine flights and save money that would be wasted by having 2 separate flights. This would be good for Delta and for the other company, and honestly be more efficient. Another strategy for recovery Delta should use is better safety standards. Of course, during the pandemic, many mandates were put into place by the U.S. government, and this was due to safety and basically social distancing. If Delta implements these better safety standards for good, they'll be able to not only face less fines from the government by not having their standards set to where they should be, but they will also be able to convince more consumers to come fly with them because they will be the cleanest and safest airliner to go through, which is a big thing in today's society. But the best strategy for recovery that Delta should use is a point-to-point route system. This system gives several benefits for both parties. It is less congestion in the airlines. It saves money. It's better, it gives the customer a better experience, and increases efficiency. In a point-to-point route system, the flights normally go through secondary cities, which are smaller than, the large cities such as Chicago or New York or Las Vegas or Los Angeles and things like that. They'll be able to go through smaller areas, which will, make less face-to-face contact happen and keep people safe. This will give customers a better experience because they will be able to get in and get out of flights and get on with what they need to do rather than have to wait in an airport all day and wait for flights to come and flights to go just to wait for their turn. Overall, this will increase efficiency and keep both sides happy and keep Delta running as fast as they should. There are also some financial recovery strategies Delta should utilize. Due to the financial crisis the pandemic caused, Delta should introduce these financial strategies. A cost reduction plan, which essentially is where they reduce any costs, any useless expenses they have. A good example of this is when Delta has customer service representatives in America that are being paid higher American wages when the same job could be done overseas in a smaller country for a cheaper wage. This would benefit Delta because they would, have less wasted money for the same job that's taking place. Another financial recovery strategy that should be utilized is energy saving measures. By implementing energy saving measures, Delta will not only save money on fossil fuels and other things such as that, but they will be able to keep many people happy because the awareness of global warming and other things such as this has become a large topic in today's society. And many people feel strongly about this. So by having less, fossil fuels being used and being, more ecologically safe company, more people will be convinced to come fly with Delta. Another strategy Delta should utilize is to increase their ancillary revenue. Ancillary revenue is revenue that comes from not the main goods sold. So basically, for Delta, their regular revenue would be from, flights being sold or stuff like that, tickets on the plane. But their ancillary revenue could be from baggage fees, food on the flight fees, amenities, and other things such as this. If Delta can introduce a strategy where they can make more revenue off their ancillary, they will be able to easily financially recover from this and maybe even do better. Lastly, maybe the most important thing Delta should do is restructure their debt. By restructuring their debt, they will be able to, lower their interest rates maybe and even extend the date to where they pay their everything that's owed in debt. And by doing this, they'll be able to make a more efficient plan and put it in place so they'll be able to plan for the future and not spend all their money paying back all these debts. The best financial recovery Delta could use, though, is a cost reduction plan. By reducing things such as their workforce, operating cost, inventory, and their routes, they will save more money and have less waste, which is very important in this industry. Some other strategies Delta should use are marketing and branding strategies. There are several marketing and branding strategies Delta should utilize to make its brand more notable to all customers. Some of these strategies are building a better social media identity, a marketing campaign on Delta sustainability, and collaborations with celebrities and influencers. By building a better social media identity, Delta will be able to increase their brand awareness, have more engagement with their consumers, have effective promotions and marketing campaigns, and by having a large following on their own social media sites, these campaigns will be far less cheaper than they would be if they were trying to advertise them on another website or on television or for something else. By posting this on their own account, they will have very few fees to pay for the advertisement. Also, by having more of a social media identity, Delta will be able to retain more customer insight and take notes from their customers by comments, and they also will be able to reply to these comments to ensure that their customers will not leave them and be happy. But overall, having a larger identity on social media will allow Delta to do many things. And especially, this is important because they're not very costly on social media. Delta must also utilize many employee retention and training strategies. From the pandemic, Delta learned many things. They lost several employees, and they learned that they need to have the best qualified employees for their jobs. Having a knowledgeable and reliable workforce is essential from the pandemic. Some of these strategies are safety and health training, which basically is a training session where all employees will be able to learn all the new safety and health things that go on with COVID. This will keep them better prepared for hard times that may come from the pandemic. Also, employees should go through technology training. Technology is always changing, and due to this, employees should be well aware of these changes and be able to change with it. This will keep Delta more efficient, and it will also make their employees smarter. Another training Delta should make their employees go through is aircraft maintenance training. This one's pretty obvious. To ensure that their planes are working as they should and other things like this, and to ensure their customers' safety, Delta should definitely make their mechanics go through aircraft maintenance training every 6 months or so, because aircrafts are always changing just like technology, and due to this, there are many dangerous things that could happen if you don't have knowledgeable employees. There are also some employee retention strategies Delta should utilize. Things like 401ks and pension plans are extremely important to the average employee. 401ks not only reduce turnover in a company, but they keep employees happy and they want to stay there and grow. Also, as I mentioned, by growing, Delta should offer their employees professional development opportunities. This will make them ready to grow and raise up the totem pole in the company and, get a better job. They could become managers from a regular job or things such as this, and this will keep employees wanting to do better and wanting to be the best employee they can be. Lastly, a family-friendly policy would be great for Delta to implement as well. This will be more efficient for their employees that have young children. They will be able to, bring their the employees will be able to bring their kids to the airport rather than having to drop their kids off at, a daycare center or something like that. And it will save time and employees will get there on time. And the daycare will be at the airline. Another family-friendly policy Delta should utilize is a policy where, families that work for the company get deals for flights. Many people fly and have places to go, and having these deals will keep employees wanting to work for you. The most important retention and training strategy Delta should utilize, though, is by having good 401ks and pension plans. By having these good plans, employees are most likely to stay, and this will reduce less turnover. And not only that, but the company will not have to worry about training new employees or finding great employees. They will have them already there and be able to have a great workforce. In conclusion, the addition of all these policies will allow Delta the best chance to make a successful comeback from the pandemic. These strategies, if implemented correctly, will definitely help Delta in several ways. Thank you.